In this video, I'm going to show you 3 movement-based activities to teach conversation skills to your students in a fun and effective way while they're connecting with their peers. Friendships are built on shared experiences and shared interests. And to be able to talk about those shared interests and experience with each other, to share what we think about it, and to listen to what others have to offer about it is a real connection that helps the friendship grow deeper. And it's our responsibility to teach our students the skills that will really help broaden their worlds and give them as many opportunities to connect with others as possible. But the ability to have a conversation actually encompasses a lot of little micro skills. There is the initiation, reciprocation, turn taking, not interrupting, staying on topic, the processing, the staying interested in what somebody has to say. These are all components that factor in just having a conversation with somebody. So, how do we teach the skill of conversation? The first activity is not so much what it is, but how you do it. And so, what I do is I take a whole bunch of conversation starters, a fill in the blank sentence. Okay, so for example, I have one that says, if I had $1 million, I would dot dot dot, or I can't stand it when dot dot dot. The reason why I have something that could be construed as slightly negative is I think it's really important to get kids to also think about what they like, but also what they don't like. It's good for them to be aware of things that, you know, get their gears in a grind or things that they don't always love. That's part of sharing and venting with friends. I'm a good friend because dot dot dot. I always add in something like that to build self-confidence. I want them to self-reflect and think about their good qualities. And just regular ones, the best part about school is I love it when. You could put anything you want that's relatable to your students and that you think would elicit a response for your students. You don't want anything too challenging, like tell me your deepest, darkest secret. No, nothing too crazy, just very basic, but things that people often share about each other so we can know about each other a little bit more. So, what I normally do is I put these all over the floor. I have a patio that I can go outside with. You can make some space in your classroom, or you could probably even do it outside in the grass, some area where your students can sort of be in a circle. And then these are scattered with inside the circle. Then, what I like to use is a bean bag. You could also use a ball, or we use some these little toys called squigs, and they're kind of sectiony. You can use a crumpled piece of paper. It doesn't matter. What you want is something that they can throw. Okay. So you get them in a circle, they're standing up. These are in their circle. Something they can throw, boop, it lands on one of the cards. Okay. They can pick, they can look at one of the cards and land on it. And sometimes if it doesn't land on the one they want, just let them do it over. Okay. We want them to want to do this. This is light. This is fun. This is about sharing. If they let them go up to it, okay, don't make it a physical contest. So whatever it lands on, pretend it landed on this one. Then they would say, share to the group, I love it when, and they'd fill in the blank. I love it when I have no homework, for example. Then what they do is they grab their bean bag or they grab the thing and they find somebody in their circle and they, by name, they ask this in a question form. So they have just answered, I love it when I have no school or when we have no school. So they might say, Jack, what do you love? And then Jack would say, I love it when I can play video games at home, whatever. Then Jack would go take his turn and he would do the same. The next game is called Fishing for Information. And what it entails are little fish with a question on one side. The other side is blank, but it has a paperclip taped to it. What you're going to do is you're going to have different fish with all different questions appropriate for your kids. And again, just like the other activity, things that you want to elicit a response of. Nothing too crazy, nothing hard intellectually, just basic information that you want them to share. So, do you like roller coasters? What do you like on your pizza? Very basic things. You have your fish, you put them upside down so they don't see the question, only the paper clip is showing. And what I usually do is I have hula hoops and I put them inside the hula hoop. The hula hoop is sort of acting like a pond. You certainly don't have to do that. You can get something else or just nothing at all and just have these little guys and have the kids use their imaginations that the fish are in a river or a pond or what have you. So the next thing you need obviously is some sort of rod for them to go fishing. What I use is straw and I tape a string, and then I have some sort of magnet at the end of the string. Now, this one I have here is leftover from a different sort of magnet toy that I just had. If you're a teacher or a parent, you probably have something you can use. If not, I know Michael sells those little magnets, or take some sort of toy. It just needs to be magnetized and put it at the end of a string. Here's your rod that they're going to go fishing with. And then the kids just take turns, one at a time, and they take their fishing rod and they find one, they clink it, they get the paper, and they read. If they have trouble reading, you can read it for them. That's not the point, the reading, it's the question. And they ask somebody by name again. So, Sarah, what do you like on your pizza? Sarah's going to answer, I like pepperoni. Then Sarah's going to go fishing for a fish and she's going to ask somebody else, etc. The third activity is called conversation trees. And this activity in particular is focusing on the reciprocity aspect of a conversation. Oftentimes we have students who monologue and don't know when to stop and to listen for the other person to chime in. And this sort of helps students visually track what they're saying and how they're taking interest in their conversational partner. One way you can play is with this type of conversation tree. It's just a picture of a tree with little white circles all around it. What I did was I put Velcro in each circle because the kids are going to have little fruit icons and it's just easier if they stick. So, what the kids do in their pairs is they pick one type of fruit icon. It could be an apple, it could be an orange, it could be whatever. And the other peer, their conversational partner, will pick a different icon. It's important they have to be different. Okay, so each time a student says something, they put their icon down. So they're going to pick a topic of what to talk about. If they don't know what to talk about, I use a little spinner, a topic spinner, or they can pick a topic or you can give them a topic. So one student will start the conversation. For example, do you play soccer? That's something that I'm saying. And then the other student might say, yeah, I play on a team. That's another thing. Then the leaf person is going to have another comment or question. And then the apple person is going to respond with a question or comment. So the idea is that at the end of the conversation, the tree should be fairly balanced. It doesn't have to be exact, obviously, but it should be fairly balanced between each icon. Another variation of the conversation tree is this one that is just the same, except this one in the circles, it either has a C or a question mark. A C stands for comment, question mark stands for question. This is to help students realize that a conversation involves both comments and questions. I mentioned that some kids have a tendency to monologue when they have a conversation, but some kids are like interviewers and they're rapid fire questions. So this could be good for some of those students to help them realize, let me try to think of something to say instead of just always asking questions. So you can use the same icons for this. This conversation tree is almost the exact same, but instead of putting the icons on it, this one you're just going to color. So one student will pick one color, the other student will pick another color, and they're going to color it in. And lastly, a modified version of that one is the same, but it doesn't have the prompt of the C or the question. So all three of these activities are kinesthetic in some sense. You're either throwing the beanbag or fishing or coloring or doing the icons or using your visual tracking. It's just a lot easier for kids, especially boys, to have something in between them when they're talking. Think about if you're just dead, looking at somebody across the table with nothing in between, nothing to do with your hands, nothing to sort of gear your eyes down so you're not awkwardly staring at somebody. It's just easier. And we want to create the environment where it's optimal. We want to set the kids up for success. The games also, because they have some guidance with the prompts, with the either the conversation prompt or the coloring, it helps build the momentum of the conversation. So they get used of that, ping pong back and forth conversation, as well as making sure that we are teaching our learners to have an interest in other people, but at the same time express our own needs. I hope you try one of these activities with your students and give them the gift of developing those conversation skills, because we all know that feeling of being able to share things with a very good friend and hearing what they have to say. Those are really fun, wonderful moments in our lives, in our connection with others. And our students deserve to have those skills and really enjoy the connections with their peers.